Good evening, and thank you for inviting me. I will just say a few words concerning my uncle Yotzai today. The first one should be a meditation for the whole family, for my aunt, for the children, for the Eniklach, Eniklach. I would like to share with you just some small experience that I had, which I had the chance to live by him for 4 years, the best years of a person, a Bachash life, between 12 and a half years old till I went into Yeshiva Gdela. Among the things that I saw is the Dugma Chaya of a Chassid, the example of a Chassid, and I tell this to my children, I tell this to anyone when we bring, that a few things I saw, how a Chassid has to behave, a Chassid has to learn. One of the things which I would like to share with you was the idea that every Friday is to write a duch to the Rebbe. Every Friday before he went home, in the winter or in the summer, if Shabbos comes in at 3:30 or later, he took on probably on himself to write a duch. I never saw what the duch said, but probably a weekly duch to the Rebbe, which included all different types of newspapers which he pre-cut for the week, or different articles or different subject that he had to give it over to the Rebbe. And this was a lesson for us to learn how a chassid has to give over a duch, like the Rebbe said. When I'm talking about this giving over the duch, he once told me that when you send a letter to the Rebbe, you have to put stamps. You don't just send in the office is to be a machine that you could pre-stamp the envelopes, like in every Chabad house. And then you fill up the machine and you could put stamps as much as you want, as how much you pay. But he was makpid to put in stamps. And I asked him why you put on stamps? Why do you buy stamps? You put on stamps. And why? So he said, because the Rebbe collects the stamps. He remembers from when he was a bacher that the Rebbe used to cut out from the envelopes the stamps. Further, I don't know what was the destination of the stamps, but for sure, it's known by Yidden that you collect the stamps, maybe for Achnose, for Mekkes. I don't know exactly what was the story, but the basic, he taught me that first you have to write a duch to the Rebbe, and this was before the fax machine existed. Once the fax machine existed, I don't know if he probably continued writing a duch every week, but Chassidim had a different relation, and then every day he used to write whatever he had to write to the Rebbe. Another point which I would like to share is also that when we used to hear the Fabrenges of the Rebbe in London, he was makpid to tape the Rebbe's Fabrenges. And the purpose was that in case there was a certain error of the Rebbe, to be able to hear it again afterwards to make sure that the error of the Rebbe was 100%, so he used to keep the tape. And I remember that he used to keep the tape till he used to receive the official tape from WLCC that he used to send out to all the members that wanted, they could have received the tapes of the Rebbe, and this is the collection of tapes that he has. And next Fabrengen, if he didn't need the tape, he used to register on top of that tape the next Fabrengen in case you'll have to hear again something what the Rebbe said. Another point I would like to share is also, like many people heard, but I have seen that also, that sometimes in the middle of the day, in the office or at home, you used to get a phone call from Maskirus, and if you figured out, the first thing you look on the watch to see if the Rebbe was already in 770, and if the Rebbe was in 770 and Rabbi Chadakov is to get online, you had to make sure to have your hat and your gattel next to you. There was no speakerphone. In one hand, you used to keep the phone in your hand, and the second hand, you used to try to put on the hat and the gattel. And this was the reason why those type of chassidim that, like him and others that used to be scared to get a phone call, used to have the hat and the gattel right next to them the whole day run. And I've seen it many times in the house, or also in the office from that behavior. So the Eibusha should help us that by sharing stories of Siddim and sharing ideas how the discussions to the Rebbe, it should bring us closer to the coming Mashiach, Hasachana, Tigimot Tammuz, and the Siyum of the Kutesechas. Thank you again.